Welcome to today's story of love, life, and betrayal. For more free stories and entertainment from our channel, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe with notifications. Now, let's dive into The Stolen Future, a story that proves sometimes the people who are supposed to protect your dreams are the same ones planning to destroy them for their own selfish desires. Sarah Patterson stared at the bank statement in disbelief, reading the same devastating number over and over again: 0. Her college fund account, which should have contained nearly $180,000 after 18 years of careful saving, showed a balance of absolutely nothing. There must be some mistake, she whispered to herself, but deep down, she knew there wasn't. The transaction history told a story that made her stomach churn. Over the past 6 months, her father, David Patterson, had systematically withdrawn every penny from the account that was supposed to secure her future. Sarah's hands trembled as she scrolled through the withdrawal records on her phone. $15,000 in January, $25,000 in February. The amounts had grown larger and more frequent until the final devastating withdrawal of $47,000 just 2 weeks ago, exactly 1 month before her planned enrollment at Stanford University. She had discovered the theft by accident. While helping her mother organize tax documents, Sarah had found a bank statement that had been misfiled. Her parents had always handled the college fund, assuring her that everything was being managed properly and that she shouldn't worry about the financial details. "Focus on your grades and getting into a good school," her father had always said. "Leave the money matters to the adults." Now Sarah understood why her father had been so insistent about handling the account alone. He had been systematically stealing from his own daughter's future, while encouraging her to work harder toward goals he was secretly making impossible to achieve. The cruelest part was that Sarah had just received her acceptance letter to Stanford with a partial scholarship. She had been planning to use the college fund to cover the remaining tuition, room and board, and living expenses. Instead, she was discovering that her dreams had been sold to fund her father's secret life. Sarah's mind raced as she tried to understand what could have motivated her father to steal from her. David Patterson had always been successful in his career as a marketing executive. Their family lived comfortably in an upscale suburban neighborhood, drove nice cars, and never seemed to struggle financially. But as Sarah began to investigate more carefully, she discovered that her family's comfortable lifestyle had been built on a foundation of lies and financial manipulation. She started by examining her father's recent behavior and spending patterns. Over the past year, David had been taking frequent business trips that seemed to have no connection to his actual work. He had purchased expensive new clothes, upgraded his car, and had been unusually secretive about his phone calls and computer activity. Sarah's mother, Linda, seemed oblivious to any financial irregularities. When Sarah carefully probed about their household finances, Linda expressed complete confidence in David's management of their money and seemed genuinely unaware that anything was wrong. "Your father has always been so responsible with money," Linda said. "That's why we've been able to save so much for your education. He's been putting money into your college fund since you were born." The irony was devastating. Her mother was praising David's financial responsibility while he was actively stealing from their daughter's future. Sarah realized she needed to understand the full scope of her father's deception before deciding how to respond. She began discreetly investigating his activities, using her access to family computers and documents to piece together what he had been doing with her stolen college money. What she discovered was worse than simple theft. David had been using Sarah's college fund to finance an elaborate double life that included gambling, expensive vacations with a secret girlfriend, and investments in risky business ventures that had lost massive amounts of money. The business trips her father had been taking were actually romantic getaways with a woman named Monica Reeves, whom he had met through an online dating service. David had been telling Monica that he was divorced and financially successful, using Sarah's college money to maintain this fiction. Sarah found hotel receipts, restaurant bills, and jewelry purchases that totaled tens of thousands of dollars. Her father had been literally buying another woman's affection with money that was supposed to pay for his daughter's education. But the financial infidelity was just the beginning. Sarah discovered that David had also been gambling heavily at several casinos, losing substantial amounts of money while chasing increasingly desperate attempts to win back what he had already stolen. Most shocking of all, David had invested nearly $60,000 of Sarah's money in a fraudulent cryptocurrency scheme that had promised impossible returns. The investment had been a complete scam, and the money was gone forever. Sarah's college fund hadn't just been spent, it had been squandered on lies, deception, and stupidity. Her father had destroyed her future to fund his midlife crisis and his inability to face the consequences of his poor decisions. The betrayal was complete, but Sarah's anger was evolving into something more strategic. She realized that simply confronting her father wouldn't recover her stolen money or repair the damage he had done. She needed a plan that would expose his crimes, protect her mother from further financial abuse, and find a way to salvage her educational goals. Sarah decided to gather comprehensive evidence of her father's crimes before taking any action. She secretly copied financial records, photographed documents, and began creating a detailed timeline of David's theft and deception. She also hired a private investigator using money from her part-time job, asking them to document David's relationship with Monica and his gambling activities. The investigator's report was damning, providing photographic evidence of David's double life and detailed records of his financial crimes. But Sarah's most important discovery came when she accessed David's computer and found evidence that his theft wasn't limited to her college fund. He had also been stealing from his employer, using his position to embezzle money from client accounts to fund his gambling and his relationship with Monica. David Patterson wasn't just a father who had made bad decisions. He was a career criminal who had been systematically stealing from everyone who trusted him. Sarah realized that her father's crimes were extensive enough to result in serious prison time, but she also knew that exposing him would devastate her mother and destroy what was left of their family's financial security. She needed a strategy that would get justice for his crimes while protecting the innocent people who would be hurt by his exposure. Sarah decided to set a trap that would force her father to confess and make amends voluntarily, while also ensuring that he couldn't continue his criminal activities. First, she created a fake investment opportunity that she knew would appeal to David's gambling mentality. She enlisted the help of a friend's older brother who worked in finance to create convincing documentation for a private investment fund that promised high returns with minimal risk. Sarah then arranged for this fake opportunity to come to David's attention through Monica, who had been led to believe that she had discovered an exclusive investment deal through her own social connections. The bait was irresistible. David, desperate to recoup his gambling losses and maintain his expensive lifestyle with Monica, took the fake investment opportunity to his employer and attempted to embezzle an additional $100,000 to invest in the fraudulent scheme. But Sarah had already contacted David's employer and the FBI, providing them with evidence of his previous embezzlement and warning them about his planned theft attempt. When David tried to steal the money, he was caught in the act by federal agents who had been monitoring his activities. But instead of letting the FBI arrest her father, Sarah decided to use the evidence as leverage for a different kind of justice. She realized that destroying David completely wouldn't help recover her college fund or protect her family's remaining financial stability. Sarah arranged a private confrontation with her father, presenting him with all the evidence she had gathered about his theft, gambling, embezzlement, and affair. She gave him a choice: face criminal prosecution and lose everything, or accept her terms for making amends. David was shocked and terrified when Sarah revealed how thoroughly she had documented his crimes. Faced with the certainty of prison time and complete financial ruin, he agreed to Sarah's conditions. First, David had to immediately end his relationship with Monica and confess everything to Sarah's mother. Second, he had to liquidate every asset he could access to repay Sarah's college fund. Third, he had to resign from his job and find new employment where he would turn over 80% of his salary to Sarah until the full amount was repaid with interest. Most importantly, David had to sign legal documents giving Sarah complete control over all family finances, ensuring he could never again access money that wasn't directly his own. Using the evidence she had gathered about David's relationship with Monica, Sarah also contacted Monica directly and revealed the truth about David's financial situation and his theft from his own daughter's college fund. Monica was horrified to learn that the money David had been spending on her had been stolen from his daughter's education fund. She immediately broke off the relationship and, feeling guilty about her unwitting participation in the theft, agreed to return the expensive jewelry and gifts that David had purchased for her. Sarah recovered approximately $65,000 through Monica's returned gifts, David's liquidated assets, and his agreement to turn over most of his future earnings. While it wasn't the full amount stolen, it was enough to salvage her educational plans. But Sarah's most important victory was creating a system that would prevent David from ever betraying his family again. By maintaining control over the evidence of his crimes, Sarah ensured that any future dishonesty would result in immediate criminal prosecution. Linda Patterson was devastated by the revelation of her husband's double life and theft from their daughter. But she was grateful that Sarah had handled the situation in a way that kept their family together while ensuring justice was served. "I can't believe I was so blind to what he was doing," Linda said through tears. "How could he steal from his own daughter's future? How could he destroy our family for a gambling addiction and another woman?" Sarah's response surprised her mother with its maturity and strategic thinking. "He made choices that hurt all of us, but destroying him completely wouldn't help anyone. This way, he pays for what he did, but we can still rebuild as a family." David's life was permanently changed by Sarah's intervention. He had to take a much lower-paying job, lost his expensive lifestyle, and lived under constant financial supervision. But he avoided prison and maintained the possibility of eventually earning back his family's trust through consistent, honest behavior. The recovered $65,000, combined with Sarah's partial scholarship and David's ongoing payments, was enough to cover her education costs. Sarah attended Stanford as planned, though with a much deeper understanding of financial responsibility and the importance of protecting herself from others' poor decisions. Sarah also used her experience with financial investigation to develop an interest in forensic accounting and white-collar crime investigation. She changed her major to criminal justice with a focus on financial crimes, turning her personal tragedy into professional motivation. The aftermath of David's forced confession and financial restitution created an opportunity for genuine family healing that wouldn't have been possible if he had been imprisoned. Over the following months, David was required to attend gambling addiction counseling and financial responsibility classes as part of Sarah's conditions for avoiding criminal prosecution. His supervised rehabilitation allowed the family to witness his genuine efforts to change while ensuring he couldn't repeat his past mistakes. Sarah's strategic approach had created accountability without destroying the possibility of eventual forgiveness and family reconciliation. 2 years after the theft was discovered, David had successfully paid back over $120,000 through his reduced salary and liquidated assets. His gambling addiction was under control through ongoing therapy, and he had demonstrated consistent honest behavior under Sarah's financial supervision. While their relationship remained strained, Sarah began to see genuine remorse and positive changes in her father's character. The controlled consequences she had imposed had been more effective at creating lasting change than prison would have been. Sarah's mother, Linda, found new strength and independence through the crisis, taking control of the family's finances and developing her own career in financial planning. She had learned to recognize the warning signs of financial deception and became an advocate for spouses who suspected their partners of gambling or financial infidelity. Linda's transformation from naive victim to empowered financial expert strengthened her relationship with Sarah and created a new foundation for their family's future security. The experience with investigating her father's crimes inspired Sarah to pursue a double major in business and criminal justice, with a focus on financial fraud prevention. She used her first-hand knowledge of embezzlement and gambling addiction to develop innovative approaches to corporate fraud detection. Her undergraduate research on family financial crimes was published in academic journals and led to consulting opportunities with major corporations seeking to improve their internal fraud prevention systems. 3 years after the initial theft, Sarah graduated from Stanford with highest honors and immediately received multiple job offers from top financial firms and government agencies. Her unique combination of personal experience with financial crime and academic excellence in fraud detection made her an exceptionally valuable candidate. David's theft, which had initially threatened to destroy her future, had ultimately led to a more focused and successful career path than she might have discovered otherwise. On her college graduation day, Sarah received the final payment of her stolen college fund with interest, a total of $195,000 that David had paid back through 3 years of supervised financial responsibility. More importantly, she had successfully transformed a family crisis into an opportunity for growth, accountability, and positive change. Her father's betrayal had been devastating, but her strategic response had created justice without destruction, proving that sometimes the most effective revenge is giving someone the chance to earn back what they've lost through their own hard work and genuine change. Thanks for listening to today's story of love, life, and betrayal. For more free stories and entertainment from our channel, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe with notifications.